Hello, happy Tuesday. Today we do have a new lesson, a new style of factoring that we are going to be going over. So I wanted to go ahead and take a moment to go over this style. So looking at this, last week we had factoring practice 1, 2, and 3. Now we are in mixed factoring practice number 4, and we are looking to factor trinomials with a is greater than 1. So let's go ahead and talk about what these look like. All right, so here is what I have. I have 5x squared plus 28x plus 15. And I'm going to factor this out into my two binomials. Now, first things first, I'm going to go ahead and look to see if there's anything I could divide. Well, I have a 5x squared, 28, and a 15. Well, these two are divisible by 5, but this one isn't. So that's not going to work out. So let's go ahead and try to break this up. All right, I'm going to go ahead and write it here. We have 5x squared plus 28x plus 15. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about what should be in our parentheses. Well, our x squared breaks up into an x and an x. However, if I would multiply x times x, that would just be x squared. I want 5x squared. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 5 on one of these. All right, so, oops, sorry. So looking at this, if I were to multiply 5x times x, that is 5x squared. We are good there. Now I need two numbers that multiply to 15 here. So I'm going to start with just a guess. Two numbers that multiply to 15, I have 1 and 15. But I see a big issue here. If I do 5 times 15, that is 75. And then 1, so if I were to multiply this out, I have 5x squared. My 5x and my 15, that would be 75x. My 1 times my x is plus 1x. And then my 1 times my 15 is 15. So we're good with our first part. 5x and x is 5x squared. But when I go to combine these two, I want it to be 28x. So that's actually 26x. So that is not going to work out. All right. Now we could do it the other way. We could do it 15 and 1. 15 times 1 is 15. Let's go ahead and multiply this one out. I have 5x squared. 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times 1 is 5x. 15x, 15 times x is 15x. And then finally 5 times 1, or 15 times 1 is 15. All right, we have our 5x squared. That matches up. I have my 5x and my 15x. Oh boy, 5x and 15x, that does not add up to 28x. All right, let's try something else. Two other numbers that multiply to 15. Let's try 3 and 5. 3 and 5. I got a good feeling about this one. All right, 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times 5 is 25x. 3 times x is 3x. And then finally 3 times 5 is 15. Heyo, those work out. Those add up to our 28x. So this is the factored form of 5x squared plus 28x plus 15. So our final answer here is 5x plus 3, x plus 5. You can check this answer again if you want to. 5x times x is x squared. 5x times 5 is 25 plus another 3x, that's 28x. And 3 times 5 is 15. There we go. All right, let's do another one. All right, so looking at this one, I'm going to first off look to see if we can factor out a greatest common factor here. Looking at this, I have 5x squared plus 16x plus 12. Well, this is only divisible by 5, and nothing else is divisible by 5 either. So we're going to have to go about this the traditional way. First off, x squared breaks up into x and x. However, I want this to multiply out to 5x squared, so I'm going to go ahead and put a 5 on these. All right, let's go ahead and look for some. All right, first off, 12, numbers that multiply to 12. Well, I have 1 and 12. However, if I were to multiply this out, I have 5x squared plus 5 times 12 is going to be 60x. That's way too big. Yeah, that adds up to 61. That's not going to work out. Let's go ahead and look at it in a different order. Instead of 1 and 12, let's do 12 and 1. All right, multiplying this out, 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times 1 is plus 5x. 12 times x is 12x. And then finally 12 times 1 is 12. Oh, that's pretty close. That actually adds up to 17. I wanted it to add up to 16. All right, let's look up a few other ones. I see a good one right here. I'll start this way, 2 and 6. All right, 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times 6 is 30x. That's kind of a hint that this is probably going to be too big. 2 times x is 2x. And then finally 2 times 6 is 12. That adds up to 32. However, I do see some hope. Looking at this, if I flip this around, if I have a 6 and a 2, this looks good. This multiplies out to 12. If I were to multiply this whole thing out, 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times 2 is 10x. 6 times x is 6x. And finally, 6 times 2 is 12. And when I combine those, a 10x and a 6x, that matches up with my 16x. So my final answer is 5x plus 6 times x plus 2. So 5x plus 6 times x plus 2. And you can go ahead and check that real quick. 5x times x is 5x squared. I have a 10x there, a 6x there, that's 16x. And finally, 6 times 2 is 12. All right. Ooh, they really like the 5s here for some reason. They're really liking 5s. Please note that this isn't always 5. It just happened to be in these. So I have plus 17x plus 14. All right, looking at this, I don't have a greatest common factor. I have a 5, I have a 17, and a 14. Those don't have anything besides 1. X squared breaks up into an x and an x. I have a 5x squared, so I'm going to need a 5 on one of these. All right. And let's go and look. 14. I could start with 1 and 14. However, 5 times 14 is 70. That's going to be way too big. I could do 14 and 1. 5x times x is 5x squared. And then this will be 14x plus 5x. That will be 19x. All right, let's go with this. Let's go with 2 and 7. All right, looking at that, if I were to multiply all this out, I have 5x squared plus 35x plus 2x plus 14. That's not going to work. However, we're down to our last option. Let's take a look at a 7 and a 2. And this is looking good. 5x squared plus 10x plus 7x plus 14. And if I combine these two, my 10x and my 7x, that combines to 17x. So my final factored form is 5x plus 7 times x plus 2. So 5x plus 7 times x plus 2. And you can go ahead and check your work here. All right, so your homework assignment has 2 parts. First off, you've got 8 problems where you're factoring that way. And then finally, you have 7 of them that are just mixed review. So like this one, this is an easy one. We got 1 plus x, 1 minus x. All right, so these are all mixed up together like you've been doing in the past. And don't forget, you do have show an example if you get stuck. As always, feel free to email me if you get stuck on anything, but you just have 15 problems just like you did last week. Keep up the good work.